Hello and welcome to yourlocalnote.com, and we are going to have another featured podcast with a band called Wooden Hez. We're going to talk to them in just a few minutes, but just want to remind you, we are streaming 24/7. Check that out. We have free apps for the stream, so all you have to do is go to the respective stores, type in YLN, and download it absolutely free, and you can take yourlocalnote.com with you anywhere you go. Also, don't forget, you can get our weekly newsletter, which is very simple. Just contact us at contact@yourlocalnote.com. All right, coming up in just a few minutes, it's going to be Wooden Hez. We'll be chatting with them, but first we're going to listen to their song called Radio Man right here on yourlocalnote.com. The song is called Radio Man, and the band is called Wooden Hez. My name's RJ, hanging with Mike here on yourlocalnote.com. And ladies and gentlemen, welcome to yourlocalnote.com.
Hey, thanks, RJ, for having us out.
Okay, let's introduce yourselves and tell us what you do in the band, and if there's anyone missing, give a shout out to them.
Okay, I'm David Pitone. I play guitar. I write the songs. I sing. And I brought the other guys on. We've been together about a year and a half.
Okay.
This is Alan.
All right.
Hi, I am Alan. I play bass. I sing a little bit, and I've written some of the material.
Yep, and then we also have our drummer's on tour right now. He's filling in for Blood, Sweat, and Tears. His name is Tim Stevens.
Nice.
He's from Doylestown.
A very big shout out to Tim. He's a great drummer.
All right.
And I'm Lizzie, the band promoter.
All right. Very nice. Welcome. And let's talk about the name of the band, and how did you come up with Wooden Hez?
That's something we don't really talk about, the Hez part.
Okay.
If you're from Latin America, you may know what that means, or you can look it up on Google, but we'll talk about the wooden part.
Okay.
We used to be called Wooden Head, and we got sued by a band in New Orleans of the same name.
Okay.
And it's because my dad gave me this little sculpture wooden head he got in Mexico years ago, and I've always had it. So and then we changed it to Wooden Heads, and they said that's not good enough. And then we changed it to Wooden Hez, and they said we're still not happy. And we said, well, then do what you got to do. We're sticking with Wooden Hez, so it's been fine since then.
Okay, so but we get educated here that we have to look up Hez to find out the meaning of Hez.
H-E-Z, or it's in Spanish, it's H A Zeta. I guess you'll guess it's a Spanish word.
That's a first, a little Spanish lesson here.
Yeah.
I like that. All right, very cool. All right, then you said you've been together about a year and a half. Dave, you're the leader of the band. How did you get the other band members? How did you come up with them?
www.craigslist.com.
Okay.
Wait, Philadelphia.craigslist.org. Now, I've had really good luck on bringing people in that way, and I found that the best thing to do is like have some songs that are recorded. Mm-hmm. Then when you have a website, we have like 4,000 likes on Facebook.
Right.
Once you add all those things up, it seems more legit.
Okay.
But then they have to like the material, and apparently we have 3 people right now that are thinking the same way about material. Okay.
The band, this lineup has been together for a year and a half. How long has Wooden Hez been around? I mean, or is this, you've been part of other bands?
No, I'm a very new player. I've only been playing guitar for 3 years. So this is a first for me. Alan came in like 6 months after we had started.
Okay.
And then that's really where it became legit. We recorded our first CD, Children's Parade. Mm-hmm. That's the song you just heard. Radio Man is one of the songs on Children's Parade.
Children's Parade. Okay, then let's talk about that song, Radio Man. You wrote that song?
Yeah, that's correct.
And what is that about?
I'm not exactly sure.
Does it involve a radio man? A guy on the radio?
I think I was walking down the street on South Street and I heard someone say radio and then someone else say man. And I'm like, that's cool. Honestly, that's what happened.
Dave, I was hoping to be an ode to the guys who are on the radio, something like that.
No, but other stations have hooked on to that and they like it for that reason. And one station uses it as their background for one of the shows.
Very good. All right, now you said you're a newcomer to this. You've been playing for about 3 years. What made you change, obviously, and get into music like this?
I used to be a lawyer, and I turned into a writer about 7 years ago. And then I was at an open mic, and I thought I can do what they're doing, but better.
All right.
And that was like 3.5 years ago.
Wow.
So that's when I started playing guitar and singing. I'm still learning.
Are you still practicing law?
No, not right now. I'm just doing art.
Okay.
I switched over.
Wow.
So Alan and Tim are really the artists in the band. Like they're super musicians. I'm pretty competent on the guitar.
Okay.
I can sing okay sometimes.
Okay. All right, Alan. Since he was giving a little critique of the band, so you've been with the band for about a year and a half now?
A little bit less than that. I moved up to Philadelphia. Yeah, about a year.
About a year. Okay.
I moved up to Philadelphia last summer after I graduated from college.
And where was that?
At the University of Georgia.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Why did you pick out Philadelphia?
Well, because my girlfriend ended up moving up here a year before.
That's always the case, isn't it?
Yeah, isn't it?
Girlfriend goes, okay, I guess I'll follow.
It seemed like an all right move.
She wouldn't let him date in Athens, so he had to come up here.
Yeah, there's something about that. Wives and girlfriends, they just don't like you dating other people.
She was really hung up about it. So, but yeah, I moved up here, and I figured I was in a bunch of bands down in Athens,
right?
It's a great music town,
right?
And I figured when I moved up here, I would find something. And so I was on the Craigslist.
The Craigslist, right?
Searching around for some action.
Okay.
and Dave was the second person that I got a real audition from. The first guys I went and played for them, and then they never called me back.
Okay.
Which broke my heart. But then I went out and met with Dave, and the first band I'd worked with, they sent me a bunch of charts, and I learned a couple of tunes off their album. And I asked Dave what he wanted me to do, and he's like, we got some songs, but just come and we'll figure something out.
Right.
So he was just like, we were playing up in his attic.
I didn't like that.
Yeah, I like to prepare.
Okay.
I like to be kind of
Dave free wheels.
Yeah, he's the Dharma to my Greg. Essentially.
Wow, a Dharma and Greg reference.
I know.
Okay.
I watched that show when I was younger. Like,
History
all the
was
time.
made. I've never heard anyone, even anywhere, make a Dharma and Greg reference. Alan, kudos to you.
I never really thought of it like that, but it
That's our
just came to
status
mind.
later.
Yeah. But yeah, so I just came in and he played, and the drummer we had at the time had only been drumming for a couple weeks.
Really?
Yeah, so it was a very kind of loose feel.
Okay.
Because there were people who knew, they knew the ideas and kind of the execution, but they weren't super technical. And so it was fun. It was I like a lot of music like that. I like a lot of old blues and kind of rustier.
Okay, but you seem to be a person who likes a plan, though, and you're working with people who just sort of go with the flow.
It's true.
How that's out of your comfort level. How are you making this work then?
Well, I like to improvise and I like to have fun and change stuff up, but I also like to do my homework.
Okay.
I don't like to be caught with my pants down on stage kind of thing.
Okay.
So I always, practice the songs a lot, and even back in Athens when I joined a band that had already been established, and before I even met with them, I'd learned all their songs off of their Bandcamp page.
Okay.
So I just like to prepare.
All right, very good. Getting back to the songwriting process, Dave, you're getting more and more into it. I mean, is this something that you just do by ear, or are you taking lessons? How is that working for you?
No, yeah, I just sit with my acoustic and I just strum a little and see what I can come up with. And it's when the songs are by themselves, I feel like there's something there. But I had the songs for Children's Parade. I had for almost a year, a lot of them, and really wasn't until Alan came in and put the bass on it that it turns this into something else, and there's a collaboration of parts that I think are really important. But I'm really about the melody and the structure. But then there are other emphases that are put on the songs with the bass, and I don't know. That's when the recording just happened a few months after Alan came in because it all just came together. I was trying to get a recording together for 6 months, and it just wasn't right yet to me. And it wasn't until Alan came on that I just felt like everything settled into place.
Did it match an idea that you had when you first wrote these songs? Or
no, not really. I thought it became something new and grungier, but I liked it. It was exciting to me.
So
I write gently. I'm an acoustic, gentle writer.
Right.
You'll see my demos on our site that we end up turning into rock and grunge songs are usually slow and measured and very melodic.
What is your website?
Woodenhez.com, www.woodenhez.com. And Hez is H-E-Z.
Okay, what's the collaboration? Just take us through. What is the back and forth between you? Is it you take the song and you bring it to them, give them a few, a day or two or three or a week with it, and then they come back, or is it all just happening all at once?
Dave will usually record the songs. I'll either get a YouTube video or an audio clip he's recorded, or he'll just bring it up at practice. We'll start going over it. I'll kind of fill in the roots, and then I'll see what kind of notes I can play with it and see what kind of rhythms I can play around it. It really is interesting that a lot of the demos sound pretty radically different in terms of the kind of environment they evoke from the bedroom recordings, which are mostly acoustic and kind of a little bit slower and quieter. But yeah, we'll jam it out. I'll take it home, and then we'll kind of work back and forth and just continue playing it until it kind of evolves into what we're comfortable with.
Using the next song we're going to play here is Old Skin. Using that, take us through the start and end to the writing of that song.
I think that's Alan's favorite song, and it's a fairly simple rhythmic bass part, but it's the most important part of the song. So another bass player started with it, but I don't know. He changed the rhythm up, and it just became different. I think he doubled. I don't know what he did, but
well, let's ask Alan. What the hell did you do?
Well, I don't want to pull the curtain back too much, but
Yeah, don't reveal your secrets.
I believe there are 3 notes in the song, and so it's really simple, and it doesn't change in that sense, but it changes in a couple other senses. We go from between verses and chorus. I get louder and softer, change some octaves, and manage to evoke the idea of change and progress without changing the simplicity of the notes themselves.
Are we allowed to curse on this station?
Sure, go ahead. You got 7
At the
words.
end, he bangs the shit out of the bass. So he's a really good banger on the bass.
Thanks.
Now,
Dharma and Greg live.
lyrically, what is this song about?
Most of my songs are about misery. Yeah, I try to look on the bright side of life, but life's pretty hard for me. So it's misery. What's a synonym for misery?
Despair.
Oh, yeah, a lot
Definitely
of despair.
A lot of that.
Actually, let me start with despair.
And now
Most
is
of the
this
songs are
like
about despair.
Seeing people on the street randomly in despair or misery and hearing words like Radio Man.
It's just a tough life that I deal with. Maybe that's part of being who I am and what I do and being able to write and the hell I got to deal with. But so this one, Old Skin, is about, you have your old skin. I'm looking to change myself and I can't, and that's just life for me,
And are these songs that we're featuring here all on Children's Parade?
Yeah, those are the only ones that are kind of almost produced. We actually did it ourselves. I messed up a lot. I had one directional mic. I had to turn the wrong way the whole time. I had the levels messed up. Alan was like realized in the middle that I was messing up, so Alan tried to fix things that we had already done.
Yeah. So,
but the one we're going to be doing coming up is going to be in a real studio, but we recorded this one. It was on good equipment, just with bad people. Nate.
We'll dive a little more into that on the other side of the song. We're talking with Wooden Hez. The song we're going to play right now is off of Children's Parade, which was your debut album that came out in 2012. The song is called Old Skin, and you're listening to yourlocalnote.com.
Put on my old skin, same one I always wore. It itched and didn't quite fit. Through the closet, pulled out all the old shoes, couldn't find no new skin, didn't remember how it grew. Hey, hey, hey.
Skin. They are Wooden Hez, and this is yourlocalnote.com. We were touching on the recording process a little bit with these songs and your album Children's Parade. Take us through that process. Was it all the three of you for the recording process? A few more people? Just take us through that process.
Well, when I came into the band, Dave had his attic rigged up with a computer and an interface and a dozen mics all over a drum kit, and just like a very homemade kind of tricked out studio scenario. And he had some of the tracks recorded with various drummers that he's had working with him before. In fact, most of the drums were getting recorded as I was joining the band. So a lot of the tracking itself was done by him up in the attic. And then obviously I was there for the parts that I started recording over them. And then we were going to take it to somebody to get it mixed. And we started getting tracks back, and I didn't like them very much. I didn't like what we were hearing back. And I have some experience with recording. I took some classes in high school in music recording and vaguely know my way around a studio. And I also spent a lot of time in recording software, like at home, and playing with electronic bleeps and bloops. And so I took it upon myself to try and mix the record. And it was a daunting process. It was very crunched for time. We had already had a CD release party booked well in advance. So I had the guillotine over my head, mixing the album just every night, sitting there on my headphones.
I just want to add, every day in the evening, his girlfriend would go on Facebook and say, Alan has still not picked his head up. He's got the headphones on. She's got pictures of him with the headphones just bent over the computer.
Laboring.
And I think he did it for 7 straight days, probably 12 hours a day.
Wow. So when you're experimenting with these recordings, did anything surprise you on the way the songs turned out that maybe you weren't planning for, but it worked out for the better?
A lot of it sounded better than I thought it would.
Okay.
Just in general. It was a lot of fun. I like a lot of music that's kind of lo-fi or has a very kind of raw feel to it. And so I wasn't afraid of, not having the most expensive mics or a nice preamp or anything like that. And I liked being able to take the stems of the individual tracks and listen to them for what they are and trying to see how I can, make something compelling out of the mix. So yeah, it was nice. It wasn't, like super hi-fi quality material I was working with, but it was fun to be able to turn that into something.
Right. So you have that experience behind you, and you plan on going into the studio later this year to work on what? On completely new songs?
Yeah, we have a new CD we're going to do, and we learned a lot from that last experience. I mean, we have a lot of blog reviews out there, maybe a dozen or 13, and they're all really favorable, like 10s on the songs and the writing and the parts. And the production, they say it's either poorly produced or they say it's awesome punk raw. It just depends where they were coming from. So like some stations have been playing us more because they like a raw sound. Mm-hmm. Other stations like a very produced sound.
Right.
So I guess we're going to tend to be a little more produced, but I don't think that's the way we play. I mean, we just kind of play in your face. I'm not going to add 10 different parts and trombones and a tuba, because that's not the way we play. We just thrash with 3 people, Well,
I mean, that's the beauty of music. It's subjective. And you just pointed it out there, where some people are like, well, this is just not what I like. But then there's people who just love what you're doing because they get and like the fact that, as Alan was saying, it's a raw feel to it. And, sometimes simplicity it's just the beauty of simplicity is great to listen to. So Dave, as you're doing this and jumping into this, it's almost like you left another life to jump into this life as a musician. Being a lawyer, suit and tie and all that other stuff, and now you're playing rock and roll. Was there something that just stuck, or that you went through and said, you know what, I'm done with being a lawyer and I want to get into music? Was it one specific thing, or was it a gradual?
It was actually my psychiatrist. He said, I think you should be an artist.
Really?
Yep. So I started doing that, and coincidentally at the same time I started losing or becoming distanced from some of my friends. Mm-hmm. So when, they're like, oh, you don't go work 9 to 5 now?
Right.
I'm like, oh, really? So what do you do? Oh. And now my wife maybe is not as happy with me. My family is not as happy with me.
And does this fuel your songwriting?
It makes me want to go in a room by myself a lot.
Okay.
and there I do write.
Right.
But it's definitely a different lifestyle. And well, being a lawyer is not 9 to 5. It's actually totally consuming.
Yes.
Yes. You can't get away from it. Your head never stops. That was my problem. Like, I'd be out at night and I'd be thinking about
the case,
questions of law and all those things.
Right.
I was actually more of an academic lawyer. I worked for judges.
Okay.
So I had appeals coming up and questions of law I had to deal with, and I would never stop thinking about
You're doing
them.
a lot of research.
Yeah, that's what I mostly was writing. And the discipline of writing as a legal writer is what I was. I started writing screenplays and editing other people's screenplays, so I was working all day on that. Then when I went to music, which is a lot of energy to put out, you get a quick return. Like, you can write a song in a day or a month, and you can go out and play it right away. When you're a writer, sometimes you'll never get feedback, or something will go into a black hole. It might take 2 years. I have things that I worked on in screenplays that are still in pre-production, like from years ago.
Oh, okay.
So I love the fact that you can just walk out to the open mic and be scared shitless, really. And like, even now when I go to open mics, and I go a lot, I don't go unless it's something brand new. I always feel nervous. I don't play old songs that I have down. I work on new stuff that makes me very vulnerable.
And do you also try to gauge the response you get from the crowds to either add that song to your sets when you're a band, a full band?
Yeah, I guess that's natural, but I think it's more just I'll know it if I know it. You know?
All right.
If it's right, I'll know. Like, I wrote a couple songs 2 months ago. I gave them to the guys. Then I said, these songs suck. Forget them. And then I pulled one out a week ago, and I'm like, that's not so bad. So, I'm the worst judge of myself. You know?
And Alan, so do you when Dave gets like that and says this song sucks, do you want to hear it just to confirm, or just to say I think you're being a little too hard on yourself, Dave?
Well, he had already sent us the songs, and I didn't think they sucked personally.
Right.
But I know it's going to come and go, and I figured if he doesn't like him now, maybe we'll like him in a month or two, which was true.
Okay.
And B, if he still doesn't like him, I wouldn't want to play something I wasn't into.
Sure. Okay.
So I don't have a problem with, if he puts something out there, as much as I want to be able to say that I don't care for it, I want to change something.
Right.
He needs to also be able to I was wrong.
Okay. Are you finding yourself more and more comfortable maybe making suggestions to songs to adjust, to change? And is he becoming more receptive to that, or is it still?
Oh, well, I always love busting him about that anyway. So we have a, fruitful relationship in that regard. He, for the most part, trusts me and my input, both in what I want to do over the song, and if I think a part doesn't sound right, or there should be a different chord, or we should, maybe one less of these and one more of these parts. We've always been able to work very comfortably around that, and we're both, as intense as we may be, are fairly easygoing about compromise.
Right. Okay.
So that's never really a problem.
Oh, that's good. Now, Liz, you're the PR person.
Indeed.
How did you get involved with the band, and what and is your role sometimes? Especially with Dave, just making sure, because a PR person is always positive and always trying to make sure things are everyone's happy and things like that. Can Dave be a challenge at times?
We'll start with where you met.
Remember, what happens on the road stays on the road.
I was looking for some action.
Okay. Dharma and Greg action?
Exactly. Actually, I was kind of just looking to, I'm an artist and a musician as well.
Okay.
And I like to keep busy. And I kind of just figured I've kind of been in one way or the other always around musicians, or music is I'm going to say it's the love of my life, or one of them.
Okay.
And I like being involved in music. So it's kind of just like when I came across that they, Dave needed a PR person, I kind of was, took the chance and said, hey, that's something I'd like to get into.
Okay.
And I thought that I honestly thought it was just like they needed help out at a concert or a show and, selling tickets or merchandise. And that's not very hard. And I'm like, that's cool. But it actually turned out into an ongoing type of thing where we did a YouTube video, and I do model as well. So I'm not, I'm always out there in front of the camera or, whatever.
But as a PR person, you're now behind the camera.
Exactly.
How do you deal with that? Is that something you like to do because it's a change of pace?
Yeah, it's still being in the spotlight, but it's another outlet of being creative. And I really like what Dave and Alan and Tim and now Joey is our new guitar player addition to the band.
Mm-hmm.
I really like their energy and how they're very different.
Okay.
And as people, they're great, and I
Okay.
like their energy and vibes, so I have fun promoting them.
Okay. Very cool.
And the
when
shows.
Beth came initially to a CD release to help us out of the show, I mean, she was just so personable and got along with everyone, and then the role just expanded.
Okay.
And now she's doing stuff on Facebook. She's been researching New York, where we're going to spread out next to do shows.
Okay.
She comes to all the gigs.
Very good.
And she's just a face of the band. And she also she's in the music video for the demo for Punk Rock Jack, which is the last song on there.
All right.
It's just a demo, and we had a video made. It's not nothing super technical, but it's gotten loads of hits, so it's doing
I'm
pretty
going to
well.
try to do another music video for the song that's a lot more official or better quality.
We have a real person coming out to do the video.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, we should mention the documentary.
All right, we'll do that.
Yes,
Okay.
We'll
we
do
have
that
to.
after we
will.
play this the third song.
Yeah.
So let's go to the third song. It's called Take Them There. We're going to play it, and we'll come back. We'll talk about the song, and then we'll talk about the documentary. Does that sound good?
Yep.
All right. This song is also off Children's Parade. This song is off. Okay. This is Take Them There from the album Children's Parade. The band is called Wooden Hez, and this is yourlocalnote.com.
On fire, burn down a house. Gather up the ashes that you found. And pour them into your tired mouth. Take them to the grave. Take them there. Take them to the grave. It's time to scream, it's time to shout. As your spit and stutters raise a house. Put those ashes into your tired mouth. Take them to the grave. Take them there. Take them to the grave.
is called Take Them There. The band is Wooden Hez. We're hanging with them on yourlocalnote.com. All right, let's talk about this song, Dave. What is it about? How'd you write this? Okay. That's a great response. Oh, shit.
He's like, no, not again.
Well, the lyrics are on the website. All my tabs are on the website, woodenhez.com. Mm-hmm. And it's a lot of misery.
It's a lot of misery.
Yeah.
Okay. Just
this one is really bad. It's
is it a personal story? I mean, is this your misery, or is it just
incidentally? It is.
Miserable?
I didn't intend it to be personal, but when I think about it, it really is.
Okay.
And it probably is for everyone. You know, it's just that worst girlfriend situation you ever had.
Okay. All right. Very good.
I'm glad you enjoyed it.
I've had plenty of bad girlfriends.
I'll be writing the song for the worst boy situation for all the females out there coming this fall.
Okay. We'll have your version. All right, Liz, that sounds good. All right, so let's head into the documentary then. You wanted to talk a little bit about that.
Yes, actually, we have to mention Unsung Philly.
Okay.
Mike from Unsung Philly, he's really talented and he's great, and we're really we're really privileged to have him.
It's his outfit called Unsung Philly, and he's a cameraman and producer for QVC. Okay. And that's his main gig, but he also does documentaries of Philadelphia stories. So he heard us on a radio station, and he went and looked at the site, and from there he just got into it, and he eventually contacted us out of the blue and said, I'm interested in your story. Tell me more about what's going on. And I'm not exactly sure what his angle is yet, with whether it's the band or what he's doing, but he's been coming out and filming our shows, and it looks like it's been going on for a few months now.
Okay, so when, at what stage, do you even know what stage he is with the documentary, and any time we could expect this to be out?
It sounds like it's going to be in the fall. Right now we have scheduled for interviews, so he's going to have all that camera work done. He's done a lot of live stuff so far. So he's unsungphilly.com. He's done about a dozen stories on individuals or groups in Philadelphia.
Okay, I mean, what kind of stories have you been telling him? Maybe give us one story that we haven't discussed yet in this podcast. Not to spill the beans on the documentary,
I think he likes the misery part.
The misery part.
That's the angle.
The depressing part.
Yeah, or I think at first he was tracked to the fact that I changed what I was doing. Right. At my age, and he kind of went from there. He that was a hook for him, because a lot of the other bands was kind of like similar stories. Younger people, they're going to end up doing something later in their life. Where I had been an engineer, I'd been a lawyer. I changed and changed my lifestyle.
Right, it's a very unique story. Now, these songs, I'm curious to know, because you start with these songs and then you bring them to the band and they turn into something different. How do these recordings differ from your live performance? When you hear these songs played live, what's the difference there?
Well, part of it is a different feel. We do a lot of stuff. Obviously our sound is cultivated live. We play in front of each other to kind of build the songs up. Right. The recording is a slightly more sterile process, so I think there's just the kind of general energy that you would get at a live show is something that we couldn't entirely translate on the album. It's louder. Sure. It's generally mixed a bit more aggressively. You'll hear lots of distortion and stuff smashing against itself. We tend to have unintentional improvisation. Okay. Maybe someone keeps going with a part, or
somebody walks off the stage.
Yeah, somebody walks off the stage.
Okay, tell the story.
Or you'll hear some banging going on.
Well, there are a couple of sections where there'll be like an extended solo bit or something just kind of loosely structured. And I think at the end of one or two of our shows, we'd be getting into, as one of the later songs, and there's a solo section, and we can kind of take our time with it if we want. Dave was tired, so we left. I think he had a drink at the bar while we finished up the set. But that's that kind of thing. Like we're all very comfortable just getting on stage and seeing what happens. We usually have a set list.
I'm sorry about that, Alan. I never told you.
You're making up right now.
No, I think they were like, get that old guy off the stage finally. Let the kids go.
How much does the crowd play into maybe your improv or your live show? Do you feed off the reaction from the crowd and then take your set in that direction?
I try to close my eyes and pretend that nobody's there.
Really?
No, he does do that. Yeah.
That's honestly true.
I think the crowd energy is super important. That's what fuels it to me.
But Alan, you're Is it a nerve thing? Is it a concentration?
Well, I have a lot of stage experience. Like I've played, 100+ shows back in Athens and to larger crowds, but it's awkward. Okay. I don't make eye contact with people, and I know you can like look above their heads or whatever, but I'm not super self-aware, so I'm not like blushing or anything. But I don't mind if I'm just not if I'm zoning out a little bit, kind of in my own bubble. And I realize it's not the most social rock and roll thing, but you got Dave, and there's usually one or two other people on stage. I'll just sit over here and hang out.
Look at them.
Yeah, and that's a bass player thing.
So you guys are in the process of recording new music that we can expect when?
In the fall. We're incubating some songs right now. We've got most of them, in the formed stage, but still kind of growing and evolving to exactly what we want. And then by the time we start recording in August, that'll be nailed down. We tend to move fairly quickly. The recording process for the last album in December was quick, or I guess it was probably in November mostly, especially with the kind of do-it-yourself element that we're prone to. We're going to someone's studio, but it's still a personal studio at this guy's house. So we tend to move quickly. We tend to, take our own material and kind of push as quickly as we can. We're not hung up on a big release cycle.
Okay, well, if you're going to have a show upcoming, just let us know. We'll put it on the concert calendar. Let's go through your websites. Where can people find your music?
We are everywhere. I'll give it to you.
Aw. I feel so loved. Anyway, you can actually, a very good source, as everybody knows, is Reverb Nation.
Right.
Wooden Hez is on there, and we have a bunch of followers on there, so you can go check out our stuff on there. woodenhez.com. Also, Wooden Hez is on Facebook, and on my personal page, I also have updates for the band too as well.
And our site, really, of course, woodenhez.com. Yeah. And I mentioned that we're one or two right now in alt rock and on Reverb Nation.
Nice.
And then Deli Mag has a mixed chart. Reverb Nation is just unsigned bands.
Right.
So in Deli Mag for Philly rock, it's got the Wonder Years, that punk band.
Right.
Then Dr. Dog and Ween, and we've been number 4 for about 3 months now.
Excellent.
And it's mostly just because so many people have been listening online. I think that's what keeps us higher up on the chart.
Right.
And don't forget
there's like 200 bands on that chart too.
Yeah, and you're on YouTube.
Oh, on YouTube.
Yes,
we have some demo videos.
Several
out there.
videos on there that I'm in on YouTube for the band.
Excellent. The final song on the podcast, Punk Rock Jack. Let's talk about that real quick, and then we'll wrap this up.
That's one of the last songs I wrote about maybe 6 weeks ago. This is just a demo. There's also a demo video with that Beth's in on YouTube about it.
Is this also
actually this one does have a little bit of story. When we had Children's Parade was being reviewed, people kept calling it punk, and I just didn't know what punk meant anymore, because in the 80s to me punk was like the Dead Kennedys, or the Clash to me was new wave, and now they call it really punk. So I was just thinking of this old guy, 50s, 60s, saying these people, what they call punk isn't really punk, and it's about this musician who's on his last legs. He's a punk rocker, but he really is one. He's not just a garage band player. He's like the old school punk rocker.
All right. Well, Dave, Alan, Liz, thanks so much for coming in and talking to us.
It was a pleasure.
Thank you.
Yeah, RG, Mike, thanks a lot.
No problem. So we're going to wrap up with that song, Punk Rock Jack. We've been talking with Wooden Hez. Let me remind you that you can download our apps for free to stream our station, YLN Radio. Just search YLN at their respective stores. And if you want to keep up to date with our news and our concert calendar, sign up for our weekly newsletter. Just send us an email, contact@yourlocalnote.com. We're wrapping up with Punk Rock Jack. We've been talking to Wooden Hez on yourlocalnote.com.
Check, 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 check.
Punk rock Jack, he left his bed. He was ready for more moonshine. Better to see you with my dear. From his eyes as as they glaze ahead. They glaze ahead and again, again, and again, and again. Now, clock tick-tocking, ticking away. Goodbye 80s, good day. Jack's lullaby, he'd pray. That's all. That's all. Punk rock Jack, he wrote the walls. The word rhymed a revival. Better to tell you with my dear, from the walls as they described him. Described again, 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 and again. Clock tick, tagging away. Said goodbye 80s, good day. Jack's lullaby, he'd pray. Punk rock Jack, he plucked his gray. He was grooming one last live show. And better to prove to you, my dear, from his hairs as they weaved his bed. Weave the bed again and again, 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 and again. Clock tick, tagging away. Say goodbye 80s, good day. Jack's lullaby,